Did anybody say 24-hour romance readathon? It is I, the not romance queen. Hello, book reading friends. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Mel, and today, in honor of I don't know what really, because Valentine's Day is already over and February is already gone. However, in honor of me finally wanting to read romance books, I decided to do a very impromptu, low-key secret, though not really, because you've probably already seen the Goodreads ratings at this point, romance readathon. So that is the thematic for today's video. I am gonna do a 24-hour romance readathon vlog where I read some of the romances that have been calling to me lately. All the steamy stuff, all the juicy stuff, no pun intended, all the cutesy stuff, and hopefully some good laughs will ensue in this video. And before I blabber on too much, because I think it's pretty much self-explanatory, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Scentbird. If you're not familiar with the service, Scentbird is essentially a fragrance subscription service. They give you the opportunity to receive scents from over 600 picks. They've got top designer brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace, and what's so cool about their service is that it is also super flexible and customizable for you, meaning that you can cancel any month and you will not be charged for that month. They also got indie brands like Vince Camuto, The Harmonist, and Confessions of a Rebel, and you can get a new fragrance to try every single month for as little as $16. They've made sure that if you do sign up for their service, everything is catered to you, meaning that based on your preferences, your past purchases, and a quiz that you can take on their website, they will personally help you find the fragrance that fits you, and you can even upgrade to get 2 or 3 every single month. This month I received 3 fragrances, and the very first one is a deck of Scarlet, the fragrance Scarlet. The tones of this are blackcurrant berries, velvet rose petals, lush peony, suede accord, and sandalwood. Anything that has sandalwood in it has instantly got me sold. I'm very much in there for those earthy sort of tones. I also got Jason Wu, and this one has notes of pink pepper, jasmine sambac, and musk. And last but not least, we've got a Miu Miu fragrance. Miu Miu Le Rosé. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I did try. And this has got notes of blackcurrant, lily of the valley, and also musk. So if you do want to check Scentbird out, I will be leaving them linked at the top of the description, and you can use the code MelReads to get your very first fragrance for 55% off, which equals to $7 on your first month, which is pretty fantastic. So thank you so much to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video, and without further ado, let's get into this 24-hour readathon TBR. So I've got concrete plans because I was looking at my romance shelf and I think I zoned in specifically on these books because I've been wanting to read them for a while. So let's go over them really quickly. The very first book I have here is Isn't It Bromantic by Lisa K. Adams. I've been wanting to read this for a while and wanting to complete what is published currently of the Romance Book Club series. So I decided it was time to pick this up and see everything that Vlad as a character has to offer and to just relish on all of the comedic vibes of the Romance Book Club. Next, I have what a lot of people would arguably call the smut queen, and that is The Beast by Miss Katie Robert. I was not that big of a fan of A Worthy Opponent, but I am hoping that The Beast and this Ménage à Trois, this polyamory, can potentially redeem itself. One that I was supposed to read in September, though I did not get to it. It's better late than never, and that is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is also going to be my first Penelope Douglas book, and it is safe to say that I am terrified. And last but not least, I am also picking this up because of one of my patrons. Shout out to you, Han, and that is The Doctor by Nikki Sloan, which is also same trope as the last one. I have heard that this is really good, and I am curious to see why it's so good. So I hope that these next 24 hours bode really well for me. Let's get reading. You know, you're not friends with someone up until they let you see them at their rawest, truest self. Hi, friends. I've officially made it 50% through Isn't It Romantic? And I have been putting this book off for so long. I think the Bromance Book Club series has been like super hit or miss for me. And I've just been craving romance lately, like a really good, funny, a rom-com. That's all that I've been asking for. And every romance book that I've read in the past few months just hasn't really been doing it for me. I'm glad that I started this because because this very well may just turn out to be my favorite bromance book club book out of all of them. This is so good and so funny, and I was so concerned too because in this book we follow Vlad and he's a hockey player and he is a part of the bromance book club. However, whenever we've seen him in other books, he comes across as a caricature and a very much so comedic relief character. It works for the books that he is in where he is a side character, but when I heard that this book was going to be on Vlad, I was not very convinced because we've only ever seen him be a caricature and I didn't know how much depth we were gonna get, how compelling the storyline was gonna be, and honestly the fact that this is a marriage of convenience where they come to the US and they are both very determined to make something out of themselves and to make a career, where Vlad becomes a hockey player and then Elena becomes a journalist or studies journalism in college. She gets her master's degree, but they never really are romantically involved. So they've never had sex, they've never kissed, they've never done anything remotely romantic, even though it's very, very clear that they've been into each other since they were teenagers because they were best friends from childhood. So it's every incredible romance trope put into a single book. Best friends to lovers, marriage of convenience, reluctance to say how into each other they are, and it's funny. It's just everything that you'd want out of a rom-com. The whole gag with the cheese man has been some of the funniest things I've ever read in any book. I am literally reading this and I am actually laughing out loud because when they were sitting in the car, and it's just like a little tiny detail, it's not even really a spoiler, but when they were sitting in the car to see the cheese man and Vlad literally just goes, "God forgive me," as if he's committing a sin. It is so hilarious. Just love how supportive they are, the bromance book club really, how supportive they are of each other and how loving they are and how they are not afraid to not be overly masculine and how they're willing to bathe Vlad and take care of him and bring him food and pastries and read romance books together, and how they're all just so willing to be vulnerable. It's honestly such a beautiful thing to witness, and I just love their dynamic and how they bounce off each other. And the other thing, the book that is included in here, because all of these books have the book within a book trope, it's literally a book that Vlad is writing. These two have been pining for so long that I just need them to confess their feelings, because every time they're near each other, they're just like hormonal teenagers where they're like, "I'm lusting for him, I'm lusting for her," but then nothing happens. I'm just like, get it on, y'all are grown adults, just say how you feel. So I'm honestly having the best time with this one, and I'm glad that I decided to start this. I am starting chapter 11, so that's what I'm gonna go do now. I'm gonna read, I'm gonna have a good old time. So I finished it. Hi. I was actually not expecting to finish it just now, but I did, and I finished it. And see, everything was good. And then when we got to the ending, it was just like a very steep decline because it just got too wacky for me. And there's like different levels of wacky. Like there's certain elements of this book that are funny and that are really hilarious and that come across as very caricature sometimes. But when it comes to rom-coms like this, I think it's like, so this lighting also. Excuse? That's better. Parts of this that are just very outlandish, I think, and a lot of people don't actually talk like that in real life, but when I look at rom-coms and the formula for a rom-com, I think it's that comedic relief that makes it so good and makes it so believable for this sort of genre. And so in that regard, I can't really be mad about certain elements of this book, but I just think the ending of this book was so badly executed. Like the outcome of their relationship was really good. I just think the events with Elena and her job were not my cup of tea at the end, especially when they were executed in such a quick way, and it didn't really pan anywhere except for shock value. And so when I look at the execution of that and why it was included in this book, I don't really see sense behind it. Like I don't think it's warranted at all. Like if you take that out, it literally changes nothing of the story. Part of the reason why something like that needed to happen was for Elena to realize that her hunting her dad's ghost is not necessarily worth it in the way that she's been thinking about for years. But was that the best execution for that? The answer is no. But once more, I think the relationship was beautiful, and I think out of every book in the Bromance Book Club, it is definitely one of my favorites. I would say, is it my number one or my number two? It's it's definitely up there. Like, I genuinely love them and I love how they kind of complement each other so well. Their culture is so ingrained in this book, and that she is always just cooking things from home, his mom's recipes, and that they've known each other for so long and that they've got terms of endearment for each other. It's just really beautiful. And him as a character just being so vulnerable and being, I know people call him like the soft giant, and I think that's perfect. So him being who he is, you know, unapologetically is just gorgeous. It's stunning. Kind of want to go like 3.5, but that ending was really bad. Okay, so that being said, and me having finished this, I will just go ahead and pick up the next book because a girl is trash. So we're gonna go ahead and read The Beast because I've been wanting to read this for a while, and so nothing can stop me now. Updates are being made. This series started out good, somewhat. I read Desperate Measures and I had a good time. Learned my lesson, top tier. Third one, which was a worthy opponent. You guys saw that in another 24-hour, 48-hour readathon vlog that happened last year. Not a fan. This one, I'm kind of in the middle. I feel like anytime Katie Robert tries to put a semblance of plot into her books, it doesn't work. I kind of feel bad saying that because I feel like that's gonna convey the message of everything else is good but the plot, and that is not what I'm trying to say, although that is kind of what I'm saying. Here's my thing. She's trying to create this gangster, mobster sort of world building around this particular series, and it is so vague and so nonsensical. It's just not explained. And I'm like, am I supposed to understand what the politics are in this world? Because I'm not understanding it. And I think that's the part that bothers me about these books so much, is that whenever the semblance of any sort of politics, any sort of plot is introduced, I'm like, I'm not here for it. And so why are you kind of giving it to me? And so I wouldn't mind if this book was solely focused on their relationship, because this is supposed to be a polyamorous story between Belle the Beast and Gaston. I always feel like shame, okay? I'm like Cersei walking down the line and they're like, shame. That's how I feel whenever I talk about these books, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't be mad if the sole purpose of the book, which it already is, was their relationship without any semblance of the world being mentioned. Because what world? Whenever I get a semblance of like, oh my god, they're gonna come and kidnap her. Oh my god, there's a war brewing against Ursula. Like, Katie Robert must be aware of how goofy that sounds. So I'm already like 50% through. I'm 142 pages in, which is just a little bit over 50% through. And I'm just here for the vibes. And I think the circumstances surrounding them are interesting. It seems that they were either in an open relationship or Belle was in a relationship with both of them very close after leaving the other. And that has caused some sort of tension around both Gaston and Beast's relationship, but also Belle's relationship with the both of them. And so I think that dynamic is really interesting, and them trying to solve that and kind of heal from that is really interesting. However, this book is truly focusing on the wrong things, and we've literally just gotten sex and franticness and politics, whereas the latter two, I'm like, why are they here? And then the first one would make more sense if it was actually tied in with character development. And so yeah, if the plot ain't working, why put it in here is my drift. If it's barely a plot, why be a plot? Many questions. At this point, I'm just vibing. I just want to finish this. I was here thinking that reading romance books was going to reduce my stress, but now I'm more stressed because none of these characters are making any sense. All I have to say after finishing this is yikeroni pepperoni. This was not good. My review of this is gonna have equally as much substance as the book itself, which is nothing. Here's my thing. I wouldn't be critiquing these things if these things were not attempted in the book. Character development, did not see it. The realization just came out of nowhere, specifically because this book is supposed to happen in the span of 2 weeks, but I guess it ends up happening in the span of like 3 days maybe. And so much less does it make sense to me that these characters would be like, I love you. Look, people will feel things differently, and I am not here to sit down and judge that. In this context, it didn't really make sense to me, and the plot was horrendous, and I just keep wondering why. there's plot in these. Just make these character driven, no plot, just vibes. You're already halfway there, and let people enjoy this. I think Learn My Lesson will continue to be my #1. However, now perhaps for the most interesting part of this vlog, I'm going to be reading Birthday Girl. See, this is the one that terrifies me, like genuinely scares me, because which one is this again? Is this the one with the boyfriend's dad? See, I don't know what this is about. Oh, this is the boyfriend's dad. Maybe I'll end up hating every single book in this video. If you guys have been here for a hot second, then you'd know, I think it was September, that I was meant to read this because I played Play Your TBR Right with Gav, and I lost. He chose for me, and then I never actually read Birthday Girl, and now I'm here and I'm terrified. But according to people, this is the lesser evil between this and Punk 57, and I'll just listen. This was also gifted to me by one of my patrons, wasn't it? Didn't Kalia gift this to me? I probably shouldn't bring the Lord into this equation, should I? Whoever's listening, help. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. I've been reading Birthday Girl. So I was reading this before I went to bed, and I read this as I woke up. It's currently 10:41 and a girl wants breakfast. So I need to figure that out. I am on chapter 17, so page 249. I'm like super close to the end too, if you can see that I'm like nearing the end. And somebody needs to douse these two in holy water. Oh my god. Genuinely like want to cry in like distress. They're still not in a relationship, but they definitely have a lot of like chemistry and like sexual tension. The fact that this woman is so much more attracted to the dad than she is Cole, who is the son. Dude, it's kind of crazy. So this book, as a little synopsis moment, we follow Jordan and Cole, who are a couple. They're both 19 and they both don't have money essentially. They were kicked out of their apartment. Cole is a big partier. He drinks a lot. He is also just not a good person in my opinion. He definitely puts his own needs first before hers. He is definitely a person who is like, let the lady do all the chores, let her do everything, or if I promise that I'll do it, I'll literally leave it till the very last minute so that I know she does it for me. And I absolutely hate that behavior. It's literally disgusting and toxic and I don't like it. I also think there's something to be said about their communication skills because they don't communicate very well, and I think a lot of what has happened with their relationship has literally been a lack of understanding and communication. I think more so on Cole's side than Jordan's. Jordan seems to be a little bit more mature than he is. She definitely seems to have like an older soul. She's like very into the 80s, like 80s music, 80s actors, actresses, movies, horror flicks, all of it. Their relationship, like right off the bat, like zero chemistry. You can definitely tell that they're together more out of duty, I guess, and history together because they've been through so much together that it almost feels strange to not be with each other. And so their relationship just kind of feels odd right from the start. And you can tell right as she meets his dad, Pike, that there is a lot more chemistry and understanding there. I can definitely see how the chemistry is so different and how the way that they get along is totally different, and the way that they just are with each other is like totally different. It's definitely taboo on top of taboo on top of taboo. And what I will say, and this is a trope that romances use a lot, at least the ones that I have read, that I don't particularly love, and it's the whole, you're prettier than anyone else I've ever met and I get along with you better than I've ever gotten along with anybody else. And it makes it seem like romance is like this immediate thing, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I just think romance books tend to play off of that too much, and I see that a lot in Colleen Hoover books too. And so I don't particularly like that trope, but I guess it is what it is. But I'm not hating this as I thought I would. So I'm gonna go make something to eat and then I'll figure out my brain. I also wonder, and like this is my biggest question, what do they expect at the end of this? Because Pike has been going over and over and over again about how he would like to have a family and be married and like have more kids potentially because he's now like established and like he's grounded and he's got his life together. What does he expect at the end of this if he does get on with Jordan? Like, does he expect them to like get married and like build a life together? I mean, he doesn't really have a good relationship with Cole anyway. We're pushing through, people. Hello, I just finished Birthday Girl. I am giving this 4 stars. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did. And I was talking to my husband about this. Mr. Gav, shout out to you. And I think it was a really eye-opening conversation because I was really torn on this. I was like, do I like this? Do I not like this? And then I liked it and I felt bad for liking it. But then we kind of came to the consensus that there is a lot of nuance to this conversation. And I think what he said was said perfectly. If this book was executed in a predatory, creepy, very non-consensual way, then there would be a big issue with what the book contains. But I think the book lets it be very clear that it's consensual, it's not predatory at all, they're very much into each other. And it's also, although it doesn't have the most steady of starts, or the most conventional of starts, I should say, it is not a toxic relationship. I think the circumstances surrounding them are obviously very unlikely, and I don't know how often a case like this would happen. However, I like the fact that she never really cheated on Cole, and it happened almost at the right time with the right person. You could tell that there was this bigger synergy between her and Pike, and Cole at one point in the book said it. He said, I just didn't have my sights on the right thing. I was immature and I slept in because I could, and I wasn't doing my chores, and I was spending all my money, and I was drinking too much, and I was just not being the person that I should have been. And that just attests to how mentally both Cole and Jordan, how different they were from each other, and how unfortunately it was just not the right time, and they were sticking to each other, not necessarily for the wrong reasons, but not for the right ones either. And honestly, her and Pike were so good together, and I think right from the start of the book when they do meet, there seems to be this just connection and balance that there wasn't really with any other character in this book. The way that she is so helpful around him, the way that she takes care of him and he is willing to take care of her back. It's a very almost nurturing relationship, and I really was pleasantly surprised by that. The smell was really good. I can't even lie to y'all. So yes, 4 stars for this. Han said I should actually read this other book that was also ex-boyfriend's dad trope, and I can't believe I'm reading another one in the same day. But I'm curious because I've actually heard that this book is quite good. I don't know to what extent good means. I don't know if it's like the actual plot, the chemistry, the consent, the smut. I don't know what about it is so great, but we're about to find out, and that is The Doctor by Nikki Sloan. It was ready to borrow on Libby and so I borrowed it, and it's super short too. It's literally 187 pages, so I know I'm about to sit down on the couch and I'm about to read it in one sitting, and I'll update you when I update you. Ooh, okay. I need water. So, friends, I'm reading The Doctor. I'm like 33% into the book, and I don't know how to explain to y'all how much I dislike this. Remember the point I mentioned with Birthday Girl and how I really liked that it was consensual, it wasn't predatory, it wasn't fetishizing the idea of age gaps, and it really wasn't weird. This book is all of those things. The fact that we start out the book, and mind you, I knew the book was gonna be fast because it's essentially like a small novella, like it is 187 pages. I feel like things are just caricature in this book for the sake of making things work. Preston is overly mean and overly toxic and doesn't get a hint when the main character, Cassidy, wants to break up with him. And then the dad is very much fetishizing the idea of this girl. The first mention that we get of him liking her or having had any thoughts about her was when he saw her in a prom dress when they were in high school. Yeah, and the reason why I'm laughing, because at first I was very much horrified because yeah, I didn't like that. And then there's the thing of she is not outwardly saying that she wants something, but he keeps saying I'm not going to stop. And then it seems like as an afterthought, he goes, unless you want me to. And there's just something about it that I'm just not vibing with at all for obvious reasons. I think this girl has the audacity to put on her prom dress and say the following: the way Greg was looking at me, I wondered if I might kill him. My mouth felt like it had been filled with paste and I licked my dry lips. This dress, I said, my voice wavering, is the one you said made you think bad things. Jesus, I remember. His eyes were so wide, it had to hurt. It hurts me. I'm reading these romances to reduce my stress, not to raise my blood pressure. This book is so bad. This man really said your coochie's insane. What does that even mean? What did I just read? What did I just read? I gave The Doctor 1 star because that wasn't good. That really wasn't good. I was sitting there and I was scrolling and I was reading and I was just continuously asking myself why. And here's my thing. Birthday Girl, I had so many concerns about it, and I think maybe it wasn't that great of an idea to read these back to back. However, every concern that I had present with Birthday Girl that didn't actually happen in the book ended up happening in The Doctor. And I think this truly was just a fetish on Greg's part, which is the dad. I genuinely think he was into the fact that she was younger. He was into her when she was still in high school, and that is weird. The fact that he actively kind of peeping tomed them and then fantasized about him being his son while they were doing all that, it's weird to me. Is it weird to anybody else? It was really odd, and I wanted out very fast because I was not enjoying my time. And also, given that the book is so short, and I think I stumbled upon the same issue with The Beast, is that there is no room for real character development. And so it just feels like because of the physicality of it all, they reach a point where they're in love with each other. And while I don't necessarily think that it's love in the way that we see love in real life or just in general, like the actual feeling of love, I definitely do think there might be a sense of infatuation instead. But if they believe that they're in love, who am I to tell them that they're not in love? Because if you've read this, you know how it ends. She has such a lack of tolerance for his job and the fact that he does need to get pulled away sometimes, and sometimes he does have emergency procedures, and sometimes he's on call, and sometimes hours are long, and that sort of job is strenuous. Being a doctor, being a first responder is never easy. And so the fact that she was mad because he couldn't make it to events, I get the frustration, yes, but also you know what job he carries and it obviously turns you on, so let's not forget that too. So if I had to rank everything that I read in this video in the order of enjoyment, I think it'd be exactly how I rated them. So at the top, I put Birthday Girl, followed by Isn't It Romantic, followed by The Beast, and then last but not least, The Doctor. So yes, you guys, that was it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little chill romance readathon moment. If you did, don't forget to give this video a massive thumbs up down below and comment down below as well. Have you read any of these books? Have you enjoyed them? Have you read any other books by these authors that you would like me to read, that you would be interested in seeing my thoughts, or that you've personally really enjoyed? Maybe what are some romance books that you've been reading lately that you've really been enjoying? Let a girl know all of that. Let's leave a birthday cake down below. I hate that I'm doing that, but let's just leave a birthday cake down below in honor of Miss Birthday Girl. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. I am constantly uploading videos that I am sure you do not want to miss. And if you want to support the channel further, I do have a Patreon. We call ourselves The Citadel, and that is always linked down below alongside all of my social medias. Thank you once more to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget that you can go to their website, use code MelReads so that you can get your first fragrance for $7, your first month, your first box, your first experience. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye, guys.